So this exhibition that I curated is part of a series of exhibitions that we organize at the CCA, where we couple different practices, and in this case is the Japanese office of Hasegawa and the Belgian office Kersten Geers and David Van Severen. And the idea is to put together two architects in a dialogue and somehow through that create an exhibition that shows their approach. Somehow we call this series a manifesto, so that becomes a kind of like manifesto or a position that they have towards contemporary debate in architecture. In this case, we propose them to have this kind of conversation between them, but also in the presence of the topic of history. And the exhibition started really as a conversation of them between their work in history and also with the CCA, and actually the history of the institution and therefore the collection that we have here. And the exhibition in that sense reflects very much this idea of a conversation because somehow it's not separated, it's not like 1+1, exhibition of one practice and the other one is very much a collective work where the topics that are in the different galleries are becoming evident to the visitors and are topics that are very much defining the work that the architects are designing and producing every day. So the different elements that they care of, like which are the key aspect of architecture, so you can say the elements, how architecture is put together, the kind of character that architecture has, the idea that their architecture is contemporary, but somehow rely on the fact that there is an history of architecture where their work has to inscribe or continuously refer to. Is very much present here, and is also the reason why they were very much interested in looking in our collection and selecting some of the objects that are in display. So they go from a plan of Palladio Rotonda to a perspective of Madelon Riesendorp or detailed drawing of Mies for the IIT Pavilion in Chicago. And somehow the specific selection of these objects reflect their interest in how architecture is designed, is told, is built, and very much part of their preoccupation. And the important thing is also that these exhibitions are always really a project, as will be a project of architecture. So therefore the architects, they always have to commit to this and design new items that are shown that will also become part of the CCA collection. So for the CCA, this is a way of bringing architects to be a kind of contemporary voice inside the debate that we as an institution, we establish with the public, but they also, whatever they develop in the exhibition, that then also become part of the CCA collection, therefore animating and populating the collection also with contemporary voices. We can say that this exhibition is a manifesto of the current generation, and that is also why we also choose this topic of history. We feel that there is an interesting new position of the contemporary, this generation of architects, of returning to look at past architecture, but with a very different approach that was from, let's say, postmodern or the previous generation. And through the lens of this topic history, they also clearly explain their position towards what means architecture to them. And so the fact that you have in the entire exhibition, the traditional tools of architecture, like model, one-to-one mock-up, a plan, a scale, a section, and perspective, for example, are all explored as tool for drawing, thinking, and representing architecture. but they also define which is the scope of their work. So the way they will do a perspective, or the way they are interested in a plan, or the way they are interested in a section is a very specific way to use these tools. And it's also the way they looked into the collection. Therefore, they might be interesting not in a building, the total building, but maybe of the plan of that building. They might be interesting in a section, not the entire building, but maybe the way the section reveals how things are put together. And so somehow it gives also the idea of like how they generate ideas using also past architecture.